Welcome. We wanted to do a quick introduction of the new scanning module in Anvil 9. Anvil 9 uses the same scanning utility as previous versions of Anvil, and that is the Nmap scanning utility. As long as the binary is installed and available on the system, in maybe a directory like user local bin or user bin, something of that nature, Anvil will go ahead and find it and let you know if it's compatible. You'll see a blue banner here across the top that indicates that that Anvil was able to find, successfully find the binary, and that it believes that that version will work for what we're doing. There's another thing that needs to be running, and that is the Anvil background processors. Now, the BPUs, they should be running regardless of whether you're using the scanning engine or not, as they are required to be running in the background for Anvil to operate properly. However, we do want you to go ahead and make sure that they are running so that you don't run into issues with scans not functioning or things of that nature. So the background processors are running here at the top. You can tell by the green banner, and from there, let's go ahead and create a scan and see how this works. Create a scan by clicking the new button. We'll go ahead and select that scan. I'm going to go ahead and enable it, and we're just going to use 10.1.1.20. And there are two different types of scans that we can perform. We can perform a host scan or a network scan. Host, of course, an individual host. A network scan, if we were to do that, we would just go ahead and put a network on the end of that. But for now, we're going to use 10.1.1.20, and we're going to go ahead and update that. All right, so you can see it queues the scan immediately as soon as it's enabled. When the background processors find it, they're going to go ahead and perform the scan. Oh, and it looks like they did that. They're pretty quick there. So from here, we can go ahead and take a look at the results by just clicking these results button here. On this page, on the results page, we can see that we have the host status that we get directly from Nmap. And that shows that the host is up and why it believes it's up. We have the IP address, or MAC address if it's available, and of course the operating system guess if that's available as well. We provide the raw results of the Nmap scan, so you can export those or take a look a little bit deeper if you want. Each of these protocol port links here, these show available or what was available during the scan, and if you go ahead and click on these, this actually performs an Anvil console search. And we use the generic terms IP and port instead of source IP and destination port, so that you would basically get all events associated with that host and that port. It looks like for what we were scanning in this test, there was nothing returned. So back to the scanning page. The reason scanning in Anvil is important is we don't just use it for performing port scans and giving you just a quick summary of ports. The scanning module is tightly integrated and tightly coupled with our event validation system. And the event validation system in Anvil is where Anvil will perform scans using Nmap. We identify what ports and services are available on which hosts, and then we can actually correlate that information with events that are being imported into the system from Snort, Suricata, and Syslog. And we can give end users a better picture on what events may or may not be false positives by saying, hey, for instance, that operating system is a Unix-based system, and the event that was triggered is a Windows only vulnerability. And Anvil will know that and be able to tell you whether or not that's more than likely to be a false positive. So we can also do things like identify rogue hosts on the network that show up, and we do that using the scanning module of Anvil. So to delete a host or a scan, we're going to go ahead and we can select a scan just like you'd imagine, and we'll take this 10.1.1.10 and we'll just go ahead and hit delete. And it removes it from the system. And of course, if you wanted to go ahead and rescan any network or host at a time, you just go ahead and select that, and you'll see that it'll queue it and scan it and provide us those results. Great, and that was a quick introduction to the Anvil scanning module.